I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. And I would like to welcome Vice Kappatain. Hi.
Hi, thank you very much. What's up? Hello, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's nice to meet you. This is Vice Kappatain coming to you live here with Eric Loy.
As someone who's going to out radio me, I'm going to have to reposition myself here.
Oh no! What do you mean?
I'll do the new stuff. He can't do the new stuff. I'll do the new stuff. Welcome, and I appreciate you coming on. It's great to have you.
Thank
here.
you again for reaching out as well, because it's always fun to have a good sit down conversation.
Yeah,
and I've heard a couple of yours before, and I was like, you know what, this would be awesome to have a good sit down with you.
I appreciate it. It's the whole point is, and I called it an interview because you have to call it something. But
of course, right?
But I'm sure you've heard the people doing interviews who have all the questions written out, and there's the same 10 questions. Sometimes it works for them. It's never worked for me because I like to hear what the people have to say and go on.
That's great.
So I'm just going to leave the microphone here and let you talk and drop in wherever I want to. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, first off, again, thanks for letting me pop in and hang out and talk. I know that obviously just from seeing your other interviews, you've talked to a wide variety of different VTuber, and it's very interesting sort of hearing a lot of different perspective of the different people that you've spoken with, where it's interesting to see a lot of people who have more familiar background with either streaming or some sort of like influencer culture or something like that. And then you'll have people who they're getting into it or easing into it and maybe don't have a lot of background when it comes to like an on-screen or, even recorded interview like this. So it's very interesting.
You're good. I'm not going to let you have that microphone anymore.
By all means, go for it. I'm all game to answer questions.
So what brought you to this medium of VTubing?
So it's kind of funny, actually, how I found myself doing VTubing. Originally, I want to say it was like sometime back when I was in college. A friend and I used to just stream together for fun, and it was kind of an excuse for us to play retro games together. And it was primarily, I know, something kind of funny because, like, for us, it's like we're playing like Super Nintendo games or something that we found that were kind of cool, and we're like, sure, why not? It'd be fun because it'd be a good fun excuse to play some of these older like RPG games. And there's stuff that you typically wouldn't have found. It started with just us doing that, where it was like literally the game on screen, a picture of the box of the game, and then just us talking as disembodied voices.
Yeah.
It was very silly, very crash course, like we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
Then sometime after that, obviously it was kind of I want to say it was like around the pandemic when that happened. Mm-hmm. I ended up sort of taking a break from streaming. Everyone kind of had to like lock in and focus on work and stuff like that. And eventually it was like, I want to say sometime after I started doing some other work, I kind of missed streaming, and it was a lot of fun. And I had a bit of a background with like broadcast stuff as I was interested in it. Mm-hmm. And it was really funny when I came to the conclusion of, well, I've always wanted to have my own show on that. And the funniest thing about it is when I sat down, and some people who've done collabs with me kind of came to the realization of whenever I stream as a VTuber, I just treat it like it's radio, but with one extra step. Because a lot of it is just you talking, but it's also having the visual element of it, but it's really whatever you want to turn it into. So then it turns into like a very fun, creative venture of, well, it can look like whatever I want, and the scene could look like whatever I want. And a lot of it is just talking, and it just became a very big creative venture for me, where it's like, I'm having fun doing this. I get to still, do the same type of content that I like, which is older RPGs, video games, and then even talking about like tabletop games. Mm-hmm. And it kind of just grew from there, and here I am.
Well, I'd like to draw the parallel between, especially the radio DJ days, when real people actually spun the 45s back then.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I burnt many a record doing that in my college days.
Oh no.
Yeah, we had one version. Spandau Ballet's True, which unfortunately was number one for about 6 years in the 80s.
Oh no.
We had 145, and if you folks who remember how to queue up 45s, you put it in on audition or queue, and then you played the first part of it, and then manually turned the thing back to the beginning. So when you started, it moved in smoothly. That particular 45 had done it so much it was totally burnt. So you would hear like it was on fire before it started. We had to fade it up so you wouldn't hear the crackling. It was so bad. None of that today with all the digital stuff, that's for sure. But
no, with the digital stuff, a lot of the new hiccups are regarding like routing things of like sound banks, and then if you pick up calls on air, it turns into like kind of a whole mess sometimes, depending on like how your station's routed.
It's all a big mess. I remember when, as it is out, I am 60, in case people haven't figured it out, but when CDs first came out and we had the digital stuff with it, people were upset because the quality of the CDs was too good.
Yeah.
Because
I remember hearing a lot about like the big debate with that, because and then it's like I think even like the modern equivalent of that is still people arguing about CD quality versus like MP3 or FLAC file. It's like, I think technicality wise, it's like I think MP3s are the quote unquote the highest standard of listening audio, but it's still like a matter of preference, depending on if you like some of the analog sounds of some of the cracks or things like that from like a vinyl or tape deck, you know.
There is a channel on YouTube, and I will put it up eventually for everybody to see, that has nothing but entire albums of jazz recordings from the 50s to early 60s. It is wonderful off of the albums. He's got hundreds of them on there, and I will listen to them at work constantly.
That's great.
Yeah, if I had money, I would still keep it, but I would think about giving it to him to keep it up. But the original CDs that came out were off of analog masters. So when you heard, say, Sgt. Pepper's, there were a few edits, like millions of them, that you would hear the clicks and pops of everything that a acetate would have covered up a little bit. So that's why you had so many things remastered during the 2000s. They were remastered digital.
That, yeah,
and it does make a difference. If you ever find a CD in a sale, boot sale or whatever you go to, and it says AAD on the inside, those are the ones we tried to avoid, because it's analog to digital. And you're going to hear every sweep and everything in that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm run way off topic. So you obviously, I mean, you've obviously got the voice for it. How did you start the broadcasting stuff? Was it something you were interested in?
Yeah, originally, this is going to sound funny. Originally, I was interested in doing like broadcast editing and studio production for radio. But ultimately, I found myself being dragged into the studio a couple of times for some of the shows that I was helping doing some edits. And it was really funny because they would be like, "Hey, it's the editor. Yo, get in here." And then they would pull me onto the mic and I would just start talking with them on the mic. It's always funny sometimes. You never expect it, where it's like you'd be doing something on the side, helping out someone. And then it's like, "Hey, why don't you come on in and talk with us?" It's like, "Sure, no problem." And then next thing you know, you're a reoccurring guest.
and you get scheduled all of a sudden, and
it just happens, and you're like, "Huh."
And your pay goes down from engineer pay to announcer pay, and there's a big difference. I was making $18 an hour. Now I'm making $5. It's a big difference. But it's, I wouldn't. I wish I was still doing it, really, but it was unfeasible to keep doing it. It was too much fun once I got a chance to talk, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here doing these, is the chance to talk with folks again. And
I think that's really good.
Yeah, and did that help you turn the microphone on to be on the internet, where you kind of already had that experience and you didn't have to worry about nerves?
Yeah. Honestly, it was really funny for a while because of course I will say everyone kind of goes through that phase when you start streaming of how do I get used to just talking in general to essentially an audience that isn't there when you're getting started.
Hmm.
And after a while, like it took me a bit to get to like find my groove, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
then what really like solidified it was when after like I want to say a week of me streaming after I had debuted as a VTuber, and this was me kind of giving it a shot on my own. It clicked, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I can just do this like it's radio." Because in radio, it's typically like you're listening to like a one-way feed of like a conversation,
Right.
and you know the thing that a lot of newer streamers do struggle with is how can I be entertaining when there's no audience?
Hmm.
And some of the best advice I could give is treat it like you're recording a video
Hmm.
or treat it like you're recording something for later because think about like what are you doing on screen and can you verbalize it or can you talk about something that's interesting to you
Hmm.
because sometimes you'll have cases where a lot of streamers will get like lurkers and it's not necessarily a case where people will type in chat
Right.
and that's fine
Yeah.
because sometimes people just want to listen to someone talk and that's okay too.
Oh, it's absolutely okay. And especially with the radio thing where you got when you're and it's hard to describe to people who haven't dealt with this. You've got a hard time that you have to get to, say 000 top of the hour. And
Hmm.
the song ended a minute and a half before the top of the hour. You
You
have
got to
nothing
fill
to
that time.
Yeah, you have to fill that time. So you get to talk in circles and you get to find out what promo you can mention and do the weather
Yep,
forecast and
you pull up a live read and then you
yeah,
try to figure out where to
yeah.
go from there.
uh,
Oh yeah,
Do
I know
the
exactly how it
do
goes.
the weather forecast in 3 different languages that you just made up. That sort of thing. And being able to keep that going and still project enough um, to interest the lurkers. That it's the
Oh yeah.
personality that makes a big difference. And you can have all the greatest voice in the world. You can have an avatar that makes people faint. If your personality is wet cardboard, it's going to be tough to keep people coming back.
No, and I absolutely agree with you on that because it is a tricky thing where another thing that I've noticed, like when I've sat down and talked with some friends that are looking to get into VTubing, or they ask questions about, hey, how come like some people will spend a lot of money on a very fancy model and they'll go through like the whole process of, wow, my art's amazing, this and that. But then as soon as they get on the air, one of a few things happens. They don't either they don't know how to talk to the audience,
Mhm.
uh, they realize it's not really for them, which it happens,
Right.
or it's the case of they don't really have the personality to really keep the show rolling, and
Right.
that can be tricky sometimes because in some cases, and I will even admit, even in my case, when I got started streaming, it was typically me and one of my friends where essentially we were co-hosting, where we would stream together and it'd be just us talking back and forth most of the time.
Right.
Then when I started VTubing, it was mostly me because as you know, lo and behold, time goes on, both our schedules change, so we can't always be available anymore.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
so it turned into more of a solo venture of me talking, and eventually there are times where we'll book times and we'll do a stream together,
Mhm.
and it'll talk like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is learning. This is going to sound kind of silly, but I always make the joke. It's like learning to talk to yourself.
Exactly. That's what it is. I call it
Hmm.
talking in circles sometimes, where
Oh yeah.
you come back and say the same thing again in a different way, or that sort of thing. And if you've got a game to play off of,
Mhm.
it does make it a lot different.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's like I would compare that to say doing play-by-play of a baseball game.
Oh God,
Which
don't even remind me.
yeah,
Trust me, that struck a nerve.
yeah. Well, I loved it. I loved it. I wish I could still do it. But nobody around here does it, and they wouldn't pay me to do it anyway.
It's all
But
right. Just for you, I got you with this one.
yeah,
And we'll be right back with
yes,
that first pitch. Catch you soon. Oh no, there's a rain delay. Hold on
yeah,
a second, everybody.
yeah.
Trust me.
Well, here in our
I've
local,
had to say that. Oh my goodness, I've had to say that so many times. Don't
yes,
worry. I
well,
know how that goes.
our local ballpark has been around for 100 years, and it's
Hmm.
a beautiful thing. But when the team is playing in the summer, there is no air conditioning in the booth,
Oh yeah, I
and
can
it
imagine
is
that's rough.
very hot old wood, and that's what it smells
Ooh.
like, and that's what you smell like after 7 innings of 160-degree heat in the
Oh
booth.
yeah.
But the game itself is always fun to me. I did some
Hmm.
for the UVI baseball, and we had a really nice press box for that. But then I
Hmm.
got a chance to go up to Peoria, and Peoria had a high school set up for the
Hmm.
the state tournament, and they used the Peoria Chiefs ballpark,
Hmm.
and it was like being in a luxury hotel. There's
Oh yeah, I can
air conditioning.
imagine.
There's monitors. There's like, all of the plugs I needed. I didn't have to use extra plugs to jury rig
Hmm.
stuff to get on the air. And I was like, I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
ever leaving this ballpark. um,
Oh yeah. Or
it's
my favorite thing, it's like the phone line actually works, which is always a
oh,
plus.
absolutely. That was always the big thing is the phone line.
Hmm.
On so many nights because we at the when I was in Champaign, which is University of Illinois territory.
Hmm. Hmm.
They have a really popular volleyball program,
Hmm.
um, usually among the top 20 in the country, sometimes better than that. And they were doing road volleyball games. And when the line broke or something dropped out on those volleyball games, I'm feeding a network. And I can't get a hold of the guy on the other end to fix the line. So he's
Oh
talking into
no.
nothing. And I'm playing all the commercials. Coming back, we'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to Illini Volleyball. And
I've had sort of the inverse on that actually,
yeah,
where in my case it's like we were able to hold on and keep like the essentially I was doing board op one time
yeah,
for a ball game,
yeah,
and I had a very interesting situation where I had to step away for a moment and I needed to essentially step out of the booth, etc.
right.
And I mentioned to the host who was on the phone line, I was like, "Hey, I need to step away for a sec. I can't run an ad for you, but can you hold the show for a bit?" He goes, "Yeah, no problem." So I stepped out, and unfortunately, as I stepped out of the station for a brief moment, I heard a click. I'm
Oh
like, "Oh
no.
no!" And then what happened? I had to go and I'm like punching in the keypad to like get back into the booth,
Yeah.
and then immediately security stops me and they're like trying to hassle me. It's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" Such and such, and then it's like I have to go through the whole rigmarole of explaining, "Oh, I'm the person who's doing board op for this," and then I have to like flash an ID, and then like
Yes.
they're like, "I don't believe you," and then I'm like, "Okay, follow me." I walk in to the station, pull them up to the board. I go, "Here you go," and I turn on the speaker audio so they can hear it in the lobby, and they're like, "Huh, never mind. Carry on." Okay, thank you. Oh
Oh, that
man.
stuff. I had one situation where I had two people out for a a basketball game, a rival high school basketball game out in the
Mhm,
country, and we used what was called people don't know about it, so a Marty unit, which is for
mhm,
folks who don't know, is a remote radio broadcast that gets sent to the station and we rebroadcast it basically. Well,
mhm.
it's right on the very edge of the Marty, and it broke down, and
Oh
we've got
no.
1 quarter left to play,
Oh
and I had
no.
nothing. There's no backup plan, nothing. So luckily, they both had cell phones, so I had them each call the conference line,
Mhm.
and I punched them both on the air at the same time, and they did the rest of the game on their cell phones, talking to each other on that. And nope,
That's genius,
and
actually. That's a funny workaround.
oh, it worked, and no one outside knew what was going on, unless if you're radio, you would have known immediately what was
Oh yeah.
happening. But nobody out there knew what was going on. It sounded pretty much the same quality, and we
Mhm.
got the rest of the game.
It is really funny. Oh my goodness. That's pretty clever. That's a very clever workaround
Hey,
to get around the console breaking.
and unless you know how to MacGyver your way out of a situation like that, you're not going to last very long.
Oh yeah. Like if anything, I will say I think that's like my my favorite forte that I could say that I've learned through any of the broadcast stuff that I've learned or any of the other stuff is you learn to be resourceful
Hmm.
where you're left with like, okay, let me see. I've got maybe a roll of duct tape, a couple of spare cables, and something else, and I
Hmm.
need to get this line ran across the field. What do I do?
Yes.
So it's like you definitely learn a lot of different ways to figure stuff out.
Just tell the coaches, don't run any plays inside the 20-yard line.
There you go.
Oh, he's down. Must have been something out there on the field. Next play. They're ready to go.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a slip. It's fine. He'll get back up and dust himself right off. Anyways, into the next play.
Yeah. Oh, it's there's so much stuff. But having all that background, though, there's plenty of things that can go wonky on a stream.
Absolutely.
And having that in your background can kind of keep your head in the game.
I will say you're absolutely right. And like, number one thing I will say is when people ask me, it's like, oh, VTuber streams, like, do you have any technical difficulties? I will tell you almost every day.
Yeah.
Before you start stream, there will be one problem. So you need to give yourself a second. And then the other funny thing I will tell everyone is, like, and I'm going to say this, you're going to know this because it's the golden rule. Rule of thumb. First thing you do, mute your mic. Yeah. Why? You already know the first word out of your mouth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now,
so
this we're not just 18 plus, we're 18 plus 18 plus 18 plus 6. So I can say the golfing words all I want.
Oh yeah.
But I don't mind that, and if YouTube cares, then they need to care about something else.
Oh yeah.
But on the air, no.
Oh no, of course not.
No, there's no safety net on live broadcasts on radio, and there's really no safety net for you doing live on Twitch or YouTube either. The audience is different, and you can get away with a lot more. You can say the naughty words and get away with it for the most part.
Yeah.
But still, you can say something that will end up being a headline in somebody else's stream later.
Exactly. Which is usually the case of, like, making sure that, one, you're obviously not saying anything ridiculous, and then two, it's like, just make sure that whatever it is you're going to say isn't going to get yourself in trouble.
I'm not saying to sanitize it because it's human, but maybe if you're going to say something that could possibly be construed as slightly something that is going to offend a group of people, think twice. Or
of course.
Or really, really couch it. It's something. Some people can do it and get away with it because people know that they're obviously not whateverist, and they are part of it, and it's something. But not everybody has that luxury. And I feel bad when somebody gets caught in something like that when it obviously pretty much they didn't mean to.
No, and that's understandable.
Yeah,
it's like I will say it's like I've had funny moments too where it's like we'd be wrapping up and I forget to mute either someone's mic quick enough, or it's like, did I accidentally say someone's name, like actual name, or other things like that? And you're like, whoops. Because again, being anonymous is like part of the gig on this.
Oh yeah,
which is obviously part of the gig with like a typical radio broadcast. Because obviously it's like you have your DJ name and everything, but also in the same case of like even with streaming, because it's like is that information you do want to share? And in the case with VTubing, no, we don't want to do that.
Oh yeah,
that's why we're VTubers.
People used to on the radio change their names all the time. My name is 7 letters long. I have no need to change the name. Okay, it's easy to remember. But some folks who were born like Stephanopoulos or something as the last name will probably be Stevens. Or something along those lines. I've worked with a fellow who had an Armenian background and was one of the more popular announcers around, and his last name was Jay.
There you go.
Which definitely was not his last name. But it was just easier, and some people just go full character mode on live, and they do that on the stream too, which I'm like, good for you. It would be pretty tough for me to keep that up for any period of time.
And it's interesting though that you bring that up, because that is a case where some people have asked me, it's like on stream, do you do a bit of a personality, or do you do like, are you just mostly you? And it's funny because my friends that have like my friends that know me in real life that have seen my stream, they laugh because they're like, it's mostly you, except it feels like maybe you're playing it up a little bit. And I go, let's be honest here. I go, whenever you're streaming and you're a VTuber, most of the time you're playing it up.
Oh yeah.
And if you're not, that's fine. But understand it's like, people don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also the other thing too is there are some people that is their whole shtick
Yeah.
to fully commit to the bit. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. And some people, camp it up with it, which is, one thing. And some
Oh
people,
yeah.
some people are really into it and they do well with it. That's perfectly fine. But that's another way I kind of draw the comparison to the radio game, because you, in an ideal situation, you never saw our faces.
hmm
Now, if your name got big enough and you went and tried to rent something at a rental place and it was something that normal people wouldn't rent, you probably should not do that. I heard you on the radio yesterday. I don't want this anymore.
It was really funny because I've only had that happen to me once. And it was, I stopped at a gift shop and I was like, you know what? I'll pick up a pin for this team that I did a bit of work with.
Yeah.
Why not? And as I go to the register and I put the pin down and I go, cool, thanks. Do you need anything else? I asked him, was like, hey, how much will this be, et cetera? And he's like, yeah, no, do you need anything else? I'm like, no, I'm good. And then he stops for a second and goes, wait a minute, you. I'm like, me? You.
Yeah.
Yeah? He goes, dude, have I met you? He goes, no, but I know you. I'm like, you, huh? You know me. And then he stops and points up to the speaker. I go, ah.
Yeah.
And he goes, I want you to know we're there with you on some of those longest nights.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it that you're there with us too. And I started laughing and I go, you know what? Thank you. Thank you guys for working hard.
Yes.
For real.
Yes.
And don't worry. I'm working hard there with you guys too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, we appreciate you. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm glad that at least I can keep you guys company.
Yeah. Those late night and overnight shifts are always something else. I worked a lot of those. My sleep schedule is destroyed because of it. And and you never, if you do it for an amount of years, you just never recover. And one of the things you almost automatically do is gain weight. Because when you go to work, it's supper time, not breakfast time. You get something for supper. And then if you're lucky to have a place that's open at 2:00 in the morning for lunch, it's probably going to be pizza delivery. And there you go, supper again. And then when you're ready to go home, you want supper. Every place that's open is breakfast.
Yep.
So you'll go home and fix yourself supper 3.
It just ends up being so funny because it's like between that and it's like, I will say it was funny for the brief stint that I did doing baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball broadcasting and all this stuff for Board Up, etc. It was really funny because I went in not necessarily knowing very much about baseball. It's been something that like family members love. They have their favorite teams and everything.
Right.
But it was really funny because I ended that season knowing baseball very well, and I go, man, this team sucks. I finished the season and I'm like, there's a reason why my shift is like, the game starts at 6, but we keep on ending at 3 a.m. for some reason.
Yes. Yeah, it just keeps going and
It's like, wow, another no-hitter inning.
Yes.
Wow, we're on the 9th inning again.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes, we're in extra innings, 0-0. Thank you for... if you had a nap...
I think the funniest part about it was even the co-host that I was speaking with over the telephone line, one of the games got so long that he nervously starts looking up, what is the longest amount of innings in a game? And he's like, oh no, we're getting close. And it's been nothing but no-hitters. And we're like, I hope this game ends soon or else we're going to be in trouble.
Oh, we had some situations that were just terrible that way. I was the post-game radio call-in host for a major college football team that went 0-11.
Oh no.
Yeah. People wonder why I don't have hair. It was my fault at the end of the game why the team didn't score any points again. That type of thing. That was always bad, and overtimes of things, and it would just drive you crazy with
Oh
what
yeah.
they did. I had one game one time that was we did Cardinals baseball, which we
Mhm.
were affiliate of, and it was Los Angeles, so it started late to start with, Central
Mhm.
Time,
Mhm.
and they had a rain delay. It doesn't
Oh
rain in
no.
California,
That's funny.
and and they had this rain. It goes on for hours, and the announcers are getting more and more pickled as it goes on. You can tell, and they're just laughing and everything. And it's not even the third inning. They're going to keep going on this thing. It's three o'clock in the morning,
Oh no.
and finally, the game's rained out. I'm like, all this stuff. I had all this other stuff to do, and I couldn't do it because I was sitting watching, listening to Mike Shannon get drunker and drunker every and talking to people who are
I can imagine
yeah
cutting between like different different ad reads, jumping back and forth, and it's like, oh, something's going on. Is the
yeah
host okay?
yeah yeah. He would be talking to other drunk former players. Oh, I really liked it when you did this back in 1967. I remember that. Yeah, it was something else. Um, so with what you're doing now on the VTube screen,
Mhm.
if I tune in to one of your broadcasts, what are you doing right now? What will I see?
So as of lately, typically what I end up doing is you'll either catch me playing something that's like an older RPG.
Hmm.
Some things like usually I try to look at like older RPGs or games that sort of catch my interest in that regard. I like the role playing game genre.
Hmm.
I also do tabletop games where, in a sense of I do TTRPGs, so tabletop RPGs, things
Hmm.
like Dungeons and Dragons,
Hmm.
things like Pathfinder and a lot of other indie games as well. As a friend of mine that I met through streaming actually got me into doing like solo TTRPGs, which
Mm.
one of them actually, which might even fit your bill on that, um, that I ended up picking up was called Void 1680 AM, which is uh, a tabletop game where you essentially create a track list and run a show clock as a
Wow.
radio host.
Oh,
And
cool.
it even recommends like you creating your playlist where you'll have a deck of cards
Hmm.
and you draw a card or you draw two cards and you'll answer a question. And the question will be like, what is a song from the first concert you went to?
Mm.
Or something like along the lines of what's a song that makes you think of someone special?
Okay.
And you put together the playlist based off of answering these questions. And then you can draw a card and it'll say, do you get a caller this hour? And if you do, draw two cards and one of them will determine like if it's like someone who's anonymous, someone calling with a voice changer,
Yeah.
maybe it's like someone who's older, someone who's younger,
Yeah.
and what in particular are they calling about? Now,
Yep.
there's two ways you could go about it. You can make this a more horror themed experience where you can make it a story that's being told from the perspective of the callers who are calling in.
Mm.
And particularly in the book, it mentions that the callers necessarily aren't talking to the DJ,
Hmm.
or they can, but they're not speaking directly. They're leaving a voice memo for you.
Uh,
So they can request songs, however, and with their request, you then sort of have to determine what type of song would this person like, and then I think some of the fun ones is like it's a song that you wouldn't usually listen to, but this is someone else's song.
mhm. Oh, that's
So it's
that's
a
always
fun
tough.
experience of sort of mishmashing personal experience and also like reading through that is a fun one. And I know that's something that I did a donathon and that was one of the incentives to do that radio show live, which was
Wow.
fun. So that's something that I've been planning on the side. And it's kind of funny. It's like you'll sit there and you're like, huh. Because the book itself is like, like a hypothetical scenario of you doing a 4 hour show,
Yeah.
but since we're going to be doing it live, it's more or less like, well, it's going to be a bit longer than that. So
Right.
it's 4 hours on paper, but in actuality, it's like maybe an hour.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And oh man, just talking about callers and radio is just sometimes it's perfectly fine. It's like what's the temperature going to be tonight? That type of thing. and sometimes there's an alien in my yard, type stuff.
Yeah.
Or
and that's kind of the fun part that the book plays into, where the book does have some initial prompts for people who either you could record yourself as the guest calling in,
yeah,
or with sort of what I'm planning, it's more or less I'm going to have a couple of friends who are going to actually be the guest callers calling in.
cool. That would work out great. That would work out great. Yeah. The one caller that will never forget is the woman who called during the Chicago Bears football game
Mhm.
and wanted me to call the Chicago Bears and tell them to have the woman singing the national anthem stop because women shouldn't sing the national anthem.
Okay, then.
I mean, what can you even do in that situation?
I know.
Hey,
You're just like, okay.
yeah,
It's like I've had like wacky moments like that where I remember uh in particular I had like a number of different sound bites of the different players on the baseball team that were basically doing like their reads and everything.
right.
But I think the funniest thing about it that happened was like they forgot to update it. So
Oh,
half of the sound bank that we had of players doing live reads are players that all got traded. And I'm like, well, this is awkward. Did you guys bother to let me know who got traded?
let's see, number 14. That's not the same guy.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yes, that's always fun. Or basketball games where nobody has names on their shirts, and you have to
Hmm.
go by whatever the ditto mimeograph sheet is in front of you,
Hmm.
and you can't really read the last names of anybody on it.
I know it's tricky sometimes, and
Yeah,
it's understandable. It's like with how things were and how things are now, where it's like we try to keep everyone mostly on the same page, but
yeah.
hey, it is what it is.
You know,
But
you
yeah, outside of that type of content, it's usually it's usually me looking at older games.
yeah.
Sometimes I will read these tabletop books live because
Mm,
that's also the fun part too, reading some of these books live and talking about it, where you get to have a lot of a fun experience
yeah.
of going through books. One of the books that I was reading, um, more or less brushing up on as I'm working to do like a stream campaign of a tabletop game with some players, was a book called Triangle Agency.
Mm.
And it's kind of funny because it's sort of like a parody of corporatism, and it reads like an employee handbook. And it's very funny because the whole point is uh you as the GM end up having to be like the corporate officer guy,
Mhm.
and you're not like a separate entity, you're actually a player here as well, and that's where it gets kind of silly. So it's going to be the players have to act very like ridiculously corporate, and it's funny because when they're making their character, it's like, okay, well, what's your role in the company? Now, if you choose to be an intern, unfortunately for you, you must absolutely bend the knee every time a superior asks you a question. You must say yes, sir, or
Yes.
something silly like that, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh man, or like you can't say no, or if you apologize for something, you get a demerit. And I'm like, oh my god, it's so funny because it has me keep score on everyone.
Oh man, there's just so many things you can do with this medium. It's
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you can have your own talk show. You can have you can do music. You can have hand cam streams. You can
Oh
uh,
yeah.
um uh, lots of people are doing the D&D stuff online now with these,
Hmm.
which I would imagine trying to get six people to do it at once is herding cats, but
Oh, it's a Herculean task, I'll tell you
it's
sometimes.
yeah, but it does once you do get it together, it plays to that. It's open for that sort of thing.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and people continue to innovate with it, which is also really cool to see. And is there a type of stream that you'd like to try you haven't been able to do yet?
Um, it's kind of tricky. I know some people have requested that I would do this is going to sound silly. That I do a stream where I'm playing my guitar or something like that.
Hmm.
I do play some instruments.
Hmm.
I mostly it's funny. I play drums and guitar. I know, very Wow, could you tell? um, but it's something that was kind of requested. I don't know if I would do that because it's more or less trying to figure out how do you set up a camera for that, and
Right.
a number of different technical rigmarole that I'd have to go through. It's like,
Oh,
okay, does my board have input for additional XLRs, the whole
oh,
9 yards and stuff like that?
and miking a drum set is not particularly fun.
No, it is not fun. I can tell you as someone that's done it, it's not fun. And especially in my current space, it's like, do you even have the space? And two, it's like, as soon as you hit that drum kit, you know exactly what's going to happen. You're going to get a noise complaint.
Yep, immediately. The police are at your door.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I actually brought people into the radio station at 2 o'clock in the morning and recorded a song, which was
That must have been fun.
it was really tough to do because the drums didn't fit in the studio.
Oh, no.
So we actually sat outside the hallway and drummed into the studio, which was, I mean, the song was pretty bad, but I took that son of a gun and I added like all sorts of sound effects and waves and stretched it into like a 12-minute thing. It was pretty hilarious by the
Hey,
time it
look,
was done.
sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
And it's like even regarding like recording covers and vocal things like that.
yeah.
It's very interesting because I've done a vocal cover before
Hmm.
for a song from Mana La Mancha,
Mm,
which I did the title song of I Am I Don Quixote with
yes.
a friend of mine. And
Yeah.
it's funny because it's very different when you're recording a duet in person.
Hmm.
But when you're doing it over internet, you sort of have to try to match up the quality because our mics are different, our recording circumstances are different,
Right.
and it kind of turns into a much more elaborate process where I can definitely appreciate everyone else who does this more professionally
Mm.
online now
Oh yeah.
because it's not easy, definitely not easy.
And if were you trying to sing at the same time or did you do parts separately?
We ended up recording two separate versions
Mm,
and then tried to match up with the takes that were the best.
yeah, that's
And
usually the
then, of
best.
course, obviously trying to sync it. And
Yeah.
then it was just trying to find the correct like mix for each of our voices because one voice is heavier than the other. And
Mm.
then it's also trying to find the middle ground so we're not drowning each other out with like panning and etc.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you tried to do it both live, you would have a delay.
Oh, yeah. And
And
that's always the tricky part where
yeah.
I know some people do these concerts live,
Mhm.
and that must be a very tricky thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a lag. It may not be huge, but it's noticeable after a while.
Hmm.
If you're, a half second off, it certainly makes a difference. Um, Sometimes it makes it sound better, which is,
Yeah.
is go with the flow. But it can really mess things up when it goes. So it's usually easier just to have the tracks separately. But then you've got to hope that the tracks stay on the same. Like I said, if they're completely different quality microphones, if one's got more frequency response than the other, then when you mix it, it's going to sound really weird.
Hmm.
Um, and then if one person records first and then the other person records, you can't really adjust for harmonization
Hmm.
with it. And so my hat is always off to the dial spinners. They they do so much work, and if you're online and you're good at it, you can make money with it.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah,
Shout out to anyone who's a board op. Congratulations. Like, there's a whole wide world out there for you.
yeah. I mean, I loved my bells and whistles and knobs and switches, but I wouldn't say that I could expertly do a something like that. I had the big old Harris boards, which were just gigantic and old, and so many
Hmm.
things that we never used that I found out how to use overnight. Um, and it was really something. But then I come to my second radio station, and I'm working on a
Hmm.
board from the 1940s that
Oh,
is
man.
just a very basic board. We had a broadcast where we had a buzz all the way through, and
Oh, no.
yeah, and we finally got done with it. And I opened up the top because there was no screws holding it together, and I I took a screwdriver while we were playing another program and kept hitting loose wires until I found the one that had the buzz on it. and then just attached it to the nearest screw. I didn't know whether it was supposed to, and it worked. It was perfectly fine. I was an engineer at that point.
There you go. Look, that's the classic dilemma of you keep on hitting it till maybe it works.
Yeah, that's right. And this time it did work. Of course, when the one of the golden rules is if it's on fire, it's broken.
Yep.
Don't try to use it again because you'll just set it on fire again. That's the way it works. Have you had that situation with your streaming where something has just happened and no matter how many tricks you try to pull, it's not going to fix?
I can tell you one of the funnier things that I've recently done is I know there's a lot of typical redeems that some people have, which are like throwable items using like a karasi bonk or K bonk as it's more commonly known.
Yeah.
It's really funny because for a while I've been looking to update some of the just some of the additional things that people can redeem on my stream, and one of them was the throwables. And it's funny because like I think the first day I was trying to set it up, it just refused to work. Then it's like after shutting it off and turning it back on like 3 times, and then it just works now. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to touch it.
Welcome to the computer age.
Yeah, I know, right? Or even when it came to like setting up redeems for check-ins, which I still have to see if I can make a little bit more robust, but I'm not someone who knows how to code very well or code very much, so I have to like learn a bit more of that. But it's really funny because even with that, it's like, okay, I went through the whole testing process, everything works. I turn the stream on, it refuses to work at all. I'm like, huh. And then I check one more thing. I turn something on because I realized the last step that I missed was to actually link it to my my Twitch account. I forgot the most important part right at the end. But
plug it
when
in.
We got it, it turned it back on. I was like, okay, go ahead. You guys try that one more time.
Yes.
And then it started working. And I'm like, you know what? Never touching it again.
Yes,
it works. Right. I'm not going to touch it until I absolutely have to.
Yep, it's working just fine now. Just don't bump the table.
Yep, pretty much.
That's how it goes sometimes with it. So it really does sound like it's almost like the table was set for you before you started streaming the way you're doing now. You had the experience with the microphone. You had the experience with having to be agile while you're on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it was easier for you than other folks to settle in?
I will say even I had my woes because a lot of the start of it for me was understanding what is my persona on stream. What is my persona on the mic here? Because it's one thing when you're doing radio because you can go with whatever personality it feels. I mean, you want to be the cool guy on the mic, you can start talking like this. Or, in the case of like if you're doing a character as a VTuber, are you fully in character? Yeah. Are you someone who's partially in character? Or are you someone that you're still you, but your VTuber is your medium in which you portray yourself?
Yeah, you wink at the character and keep going. And that's
exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was like initially for me learning what do I feel comfortable as? And for me, it's mostly like people who know me on air and then off air. It's funny because they go, "You're mostly the same." If anything, it's like on air you tighten up ship a bit more, but then off air it's like you're quicker to go back and forth on stuff, and understandable. You know what I mean? It's like obviously you want to put your best foot forward, but it is really funny because it took a little bit of adjustment for me to feel comfortable, because that was the one thing. Like for me, I was used to having someone to bounce things off of most of the time with my friend,
right?
But then when it started being just me, it's learning that, and then when I learned how to really talk about that and how to talk to myself and go in circles, and then it starts being a lot easier because I treat it as I'm just recording a video, and if anyone pops in, hey, we keep the conversation rolling. Yeah. Rule of thumb was like, don't get surprised, don't get stun locked.
Yeah.
A lot of that. And I think for others, I would say it more or less like if you're, in my case, I feel like I lucked out of it because I've had that experience. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. Yeah. For others, it varies heavily because for them, it's more of, do you have the personality for it? Because some people don't, some people do. Yeah. And, what do they feel comfortable with? And because some people, like I mentioned before, I think, is it is very tricky for some people to adapt well because maybe you're good in a conversation, but on your own you kind of flounder,
Mm-hmm.
and that's understandable. It happens,
Yeah.
and that's why like I've see there are some cases where there are some streamers that they need to have a group of people with them to keep the ball rolling, and
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
And then there are some people who do well on their own because a lot of it turns into monologuing,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah. And learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all.
Hmm.
Yeah. In the end, we know that.
Oh yeah.
I need to have that rainbow come up. The more you know. Um, it really is being able to entertain without knowing there's an audience there is something that is very tough to learn. And if you do that by yourself when you're a kid, they tend to put you in the special class. Um,
Yep.
they're in their own little world. Well,
Hmm.
that's because they're more creative than any of you folks out there. No, creativity is also a big part of what you're able to. You can have a good personality and still not push the envelope. Uh, would you consider yourself one of those folks who has got that envelope pushed all the way to the brink?
I wouldn't know if it's pushed all the way to the brink, but I can definitely say, at least for myself, I try to uh, keep on pushing towards. At least it's funny. I've explained this to my friends. Where I want, in my ideal case here, I want to run a fun show.
Mm,
I want to run a show that I can sit back, watch, or listen to, and go, "That's fun." You
mm,
know what I mean?
yep,
Like for me, it's a lot about um, if I can't find it entertaining, or at least understand why someone can't find it entertaining, then what am I doing? And
right,
then I need to reassess and go, okay, well, what do I think works for me and what do I think doesn't work?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And a lot of it is that willingness to be self-reflective. And I'm going to say this as well. It is tricky because not everyone can really sit down and be able to deal with either criticisms like that or at least look at their own work in a critical eye.
right,
And it's tricky, and that's understandable. You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's having that conversation when it becomes um, a difference between a responsibility for you to go on and stream and then something you enjoy doing. When it's right on that line, that's when you
Hmm.
kind of have to make that choice. Um, are you still enjoying it enough to put the work into it to do this?
Yeah.
Or do you need to step back on, maybe do less and still
Yeah.
enjoy yourself, or maybe take a step away and recharge your batteries? Even radio people get vacations every once in a while,
Hmm.
and have to. So take care of your voice, for crying out loud, is one thing you need to do
Oh
too.
yeah.
And
And
there's
I think like the best advice I could give on that to even jump onto you with that is like the best advice that I give people when they ask me like, "Hey, I want to get into streaming, what do I do?" I'll usually ask them, I go, "What do you want to do? Like
right.
what why are you getting into it?" In the sense of like is this a hobby for you? Is this something that you want to do seriously? Is this something that you want to pick up and put down? Because when you understand that is what do you want to get out of streaming,
Hmm.
it helps you sort of understand you know, it helps you figure out how much like effort in different places you can put, as well as just understanding like, you know, not to be too hard on yourself as well. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's like if you're doing this for fun, are you still having fun?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you
Exactly.
said.
Exactly. And if you're just doing it for shits and giggles and that type of thing and enjoying yourself,
Yeah,
you don't need to buy a $5,000 microphone. You could
of course.
you
Yeah,
know
just go bust out that Yeti, and go
yeah
buy that snowball mic and
yeah yeah
have at
yeah.
it.
Probably not Radio Shack, but better than Radio Shack, which is virtually everything. Um, and enjoy what if you're only going on once a month, don't spend $75,000 on a model. Um,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah. And
get
that's like one of the big things that I've talked about as well, where it's like, um, again, if you're going to get into VTubing, uh, the best thing I could say before you put any money down, try to stream first.
yeah.
See if you like it. And if you
Oh,
do like it, what's the next step?
yeah.
Do you want to be, I would say you could even go with being a PNG for a bit.
Hmm.
Because again, it's a matter of, I don't want you to dive in, drop $5,000, stream for a week and say, I hate it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, I'm I know that there's a hierarchy between PNG VTubers and mobile VTubers. I don't care about that stuff myself, but if that's something that people want to separate themselves with, go right ahead. I'm not going to
Yeah.
mess with it.
And it's like, I can understand like wanting a bit of the division to sort of stand out in different things, and that's fine. But ultimately, at the end of the day, to me, it's like a lot of the content that you guys do is more or less the same.
Hmm.
And a lot of it is just, you know, I know some people will get like in a very expensive model and flex that on people. And I think, well, that's awesome that you did that. It's like a matter of one, are you going to commit to it? Because again, it's an investment.
No,
And then two, it's like, um, in the nicest way I could say, having a flashy model doesn't equate to having a personality.
no, it does not. It does
And
not.
it's tough because for some people, that's just kind of how it goes, you know?
Yeah, yep. Usually the this is going to make a lot of people mad probably if they listen to it. Usually the cutest person at the radio station is also the one you least want to have on the air.
Understandable.
Yes. But also the one that always gets the opportunities. Um,
Yep.
no, I'm not bitter. Yeah, I'm bitter. The It's just been a pleasure talking with you, and it's not long enough because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But
Oh yeah.
we're gonna
No,
have all
it's been a treat.
we're gonna have all the links to what Vice has got going on here in the description for the video, and we'll get you on again here when we've got some new plans coming up for the new year, and we'll, as long as I continue to wake up in the morning, we'll get to those. We'll get to those plans. But folks, check out and see what Vice has got happening. As you heard here, very entertaining. Knows what they're doing, and you'll have a good time. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you again for inviting me on. It's been a treat. And yeah, hopefully we can catch up another time.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.